Live from New York, it's Ask This Engineer.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Ask an Engineer. It's me, LadyAda, the engineer. With me, Mr. LadyAda on camera control, mic control, and all the other controls. We're in control. We've got an exciting show for you tonight. Lots of videos, new products, demos, examples, some top secret, and more. Mr. LadyAda, what's on tonight's show?
On tonight's show, the code is reverse TFT. The reason for that is we have a new product, and it's a reverse TFT. So you can get your cart ready. You'll save 10% off in the Adafruit store all the way up to 11:59 p.m. or when I remember to turn the code off, or when our baby wakes us up. Adafruit Live, we just had a bunch of live shows throughout the week, and we just did show and tell a few moments ago. We'll talk about all of that and more. Desk of LadyAda was over the weekend. We'll do a little bit of a recap. JP's product pick. Don't forget JP's workshop is on Thursday. We have some time travel. Looking around in the world of makers, hackers, artists, engineers. We'll talk about why we weren't doing our show last week. We had some visitors from the mailbag. People send us nice emails, tweets, toots, and more. We have some retro tech. That's right. We have some cool photos of some ancient devices from the past. We'll look at some factory footage from Adafruit. We got some 3D printing videos and a little bit of a catch up to do since we were out last week. We've got Ion MPI brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit. We got a top secret recap and then something that just came in at the last minute. So
Bam.
Stick around for that. We got new products. We're going to answer your questions. We do that over on the Discord, adafruit.it/discord or discord.gg/Adafruit. Go over there, post your questions. We get to them towards the end of the show. Sometimes we interweave them as well. All that and more on, you guessed it, Ask an Engineer. Okay, LadyAda. When people put stuff in their cart, they should be ready with a code.
Code 10% off.
Reverse or RevERS if it reverse TFT, but they also get free stuff. What do they get?
That's right. We have freebies. Freebies that we've got right now are, we also have the microbit too. $99 or more. We've got nudes. That's right. You get a free nude with every order. $99 or more will give you a warm white nude.
What are nudes?
These are flexible LEDs. They're so cool. You just give them 3 volts. You treat them like any other LED, but they're like a noodle that you can twist and turn and tie into a knot, literally, if you'd like. And we just love them so much. We thought we'd give away some free nudes with orders. If you book $149 or more, you'll get a free KB2040. That's a RP2040 based microcontroller board. It's pink. It's Pro Micro pinout compatible. It's got USB-C and STEMMA QT. And as of $199 or more, you get free UPS ground shipping. And as of this week, we have another freebie. It's so new that
didn't even make it into the show, but I'm going to do it right now. So here we go.
But it's right there. You get a microbit V2. That's right. We got a whole bunch of microbits back in stock to celebrate.
These were hard to get.
These were hard to get, and now they're available. But you will get a free one. So place your order. You can run CircuitPython on these, by the way. They have an NRF52 processor. MakeCode runs on them. MicroPython runs on them. Arduino runs on them.
That's nice.
So yeah, I love these little boards. They're super fun, and just to celebrate that they're back in stock.
Okay. So next up, well, we do a bunch of live shows. And the live shows that we do are 3D Hangouts, and we do Show and Tell, and we do Desk of LadyAda, JP's product pick. We do things like show and tell. That just happened. Thank you so much, Liz, for hosting it this week. I got a chance to see some of the projects. I'm not supposed to pick a favorite. However, I do. I like Jepler's Next Mouse project, obviously, because
Yes.
yes,
Well, your
obviously.
idea.
Yeah. That's not the reason though. I would like it even if it wasn't my idea.
Okay.
Because Next hardware is awesome and it's cool. It's black, and you can revive it instead of it going into the dumpster or on a shelf forever. So check those out, and we'll be hosting the show until next week. So come on by. Other shows that we do, like I was saying, is Desk of LadyAda. We do that every. We do that
Sundays.
on Sunday. We do it in two parts. First part, what were you showing from your desk?
Well, first off, we went to Lunar New Year.
Yeah, we'll show a couple things in that in
Okay.
a bit.
And second, wow, there's two of me. And
Yeah,
what?
I think I'm gonna have it so when we're doing the recaps, you're not there.
I know, because it's a
Thank
little
you,
weird. I'm like,
literally.
dang, like I'm over here.
Yeah.
I showed off this new RP 2040 feather design. It's called the Bones design. And that's because I'm intending to fit various modules and parts on the right hand side. So I basically took our feather RP 2040 and just squished the heck out of it, turned everything into 0402 parts and other smaller components to make a big, spot on the side. And that's where I'll put like Wi-Fi or maybe a Bluetooth module or maybe a radio or maybe HDMI or DVI connector, all sorts of options.
Yeah. So I think for next time when I do this,
Yeah.
it'll be like up here
Okay.
instead of
No, it's cool. I was like, oh, it's me.
yeah, I think I'll put it like up there.
I like this kind of
You
like,
like it up there?
oh, yeah, because
Put it in.
it's like a movie. It's like,
Yeah. Oh,
hi.
look at that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we do the great search, and that's when Lady Ada uses her powers of engineering and search on digikey.com to find the stuff you're looking for. You know what? Let me move that up right now too.
You
So
want to do
what were
that?
you looking for? What were you looking for um on Sunday?
Okay, so this Bones project, where I made this very minimalist RP 2040 board that I could add more electronics to, I had to squish all the parts down. So the resistors and capacitors, I moved from 0805 and 0603 to 0402. And that's really easy. But then for other components, I had to decide, well, first off, some I couldn't shrink, like the crystal had to be the same size. And the QSPI memory also, only came in that size basically for the price I'm willing to pay. But the pass diode that we use for the power supply, I traditionally have it in a SOD 123, but turns out there's other packages available for diodes. So you can see I look for, I want an equivalent, sorry, not diode, pass transistor. I look for an equivalent transistor that has the same specifications, but in a smaller package. And I had some success. So you can watch the video to see what I picked.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go back to this for a second because there's a real-time question that you can answer. Will the RP 2040 Feather Bones be open source so we can put our own stuff on the blank side?
Yes. Basically, what you'll do is when I publish the first board, it's probably going to be the DVI feather. Just delete the thing, and you'll get, you have the rest of the space to route whatever you want as you like it. But because I'll have all the 8 traces brought out, and that'll be a good generic bones to start with, and you just delete the connector and put whatever you want instead.
I heard a funny joke, and I kind of repeat it too as a phrase. So I'm going to completely change it to something positive because it's funny. When you're thinking about this is, and then I'm just because no, it was unrelated to anything.
Yeah.
Adafruit. So the question, if someone asks, is Adafruit open source? It's either open source or it's about to be open source.
Oh yeah.
You know the joke I'm talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's open source or it's about to become open source.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only two states we have.
Yeah. You're stuck.
Yeah, it's open source or it's going to be open source. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no other things. Okay. So we also do JP's product pick of the week. That's where JP does a live broadcast inside the product page. Here is this week's recap.
The IoT button BFF. This little BFF, it attaches to the back of a cutie pie, and it basically adds 2 things to your cutie pie. A nice big 12mm tactile momentary button and a NeoPixel. Those are on pins A2 and A3 respectively. I've got my BFF, got some socket headers. Here's a cutie pie. All you do is plug those in like that, and off you go. I'm using Whippersnapper with this. I have this paired with my Wi-Fi router. When I press a button, I'm going to get that IoT button BFF indicator on my IoT page to blink. I have this color widget. Go and pick a different color. Let's go to green. Hit save there, and now that updates. That's my product pick of the week this week. It is the IoT Button BFF with NeoPixel for Cutie Pie and Xiao board.
All right, and JP's workshop is this Thursday. Then on Fridays at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, deep dive with Tim. Check it out. They are epic, epic, epic sessions on how to do all sorts of cool things with CircuitPython. Okay, next up, we're going to do some time traveling, LadyAda.
Ooh.
Frickin' time.
Where are we going to travel to?
Frickin' time. Well, sort of the present.
Okay.
Which is the best place
Like
to be.
2 days ago.
Which is now. So happy Lunar New Year, everyone. Some folks call it Chinese New Year. It's also Lunar New Year for a lot of the world too. At the end of our show tonight, we'll play a couple minutes from our trip with our kiddo to Chinatown. We went to the fireworks festival. She slept through it. And we got some cool stuff. Do you want to show the little
Oh, yeah.
little thing we got? So it's Year of the Water Rabbit. So we got a rabbit. And then we got a puppet. I like puppets because we have a lot of puppets at Adafruit. We'll be resuming our puppet show soon too because looks like there's enough mitigation you can do with COVID related things. So I think we're ready to film. Our employees do the puppet shows. So anyways, this is a neat one. We also got one for a friend. So you can see this is really cool.
A lion.
Yeah. Not lying. It's a lion.
Lion.
Yeah. So,
Played volleyball for Brooke.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah. All right. And then the other thing, I think I know I mentioned this on one of our shows or something like that. But anyways, we hit our 3 millionth order.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. And I want to say special thanks. If you go to the Adafruit blog, you can see. Let me actually see if I have it up here. Yeah. But I wanted to do a special thanks to Michael from Austin who did the 300th order. So
3 millionth.
yeah, 3 millionth. So
You were like our 300th order.
yeah, I think it was. So not only am I a customer, but now I'm part of Adafruit. So Michael's order of 3 million, it was really 3 million and one. And the reason is someone tried to get more Raspberry Pis than they were supposed to, and we voided their order. And
the hammer.
And yeah, and so
Pi hammer came down.
And so I didn't want to count that voided order as 3 million. So
and they get it for free.
Yeah. Why reward someone who's trying to get more Raspberry Pis and not being fair to everybody else?
No.
So anyways, we were keeping incrementally some other ones, but if you want to look back in the past, the 2 millionth order was March 8th, 2018. We have all that on our website, so if you want to figure out like how many orders does Adafruit get all the time, we put everything up online. So anyways, the reason why we weren't around last week is because the Raspberry Pi folks visited. So here's Liz.
It's me and Liz.
She's the co-founder of Raspberry Pi, and then there's Lamore. There's our kiddo, and here's Al. He's on the Raspberry Pi team. I think technical lead. I don't know.
He's the documentation lead.
And then here is Liz and Al and Brian Jepson. I'm sure folks who are in the publishing world or in the Make world know Brian Jepson. Really well-known maker, editor, and more, and he's part of the Raspberry Pi team now. And then here's a classic photo of the Raspberry Pi team in front of the electronic manufacturing that we do.
Does we design where it's remanufacture our RP2040 boards.
Yeah. So
we also manufactured Liz's.
Yeah.
5,000 Liz's have been manufactured.
Yeah. So the other thing is, I posted it up on purpose. I'm just like, okay, surely there's not going to be some guy who's like, by the way, where's my Raspberry Pi jerks? So there was like one guy. So because I was just like, okay, there's a picture of like people and a baby. Like, really? So anyways, that was the first photo I posted. But this is neat to see everyone from Raspberry Pi that was able to make. We haven't seen them in a very long time in New York City. So it's great to catch up and more. We're on Mastodon. I have to do this reminder because a lot of folks are like, has anyone heard of Mastodon? Yep. Well, we've been there since 2017. And now folks are getting there.
We're
and,
OM.
Yeah, we're original tutors. Yeah. We're OT. And so check us out over there. You just search for Adafruit. All right. Adafruit IO. We have some news. First up, a little bit of a milestone. We have 200 plus active whippersnapper devices per week. 136 per hour talking to IO. That's a big deal. So whippersnapper, the no code way to do a bunch of stuff. And then if you want, you can see how many IO users we've added, 30 days, and how many users are active. So there's a lot of people using Adafruit IO. It's free, but you can also use Plus if you want to support us. Speaking of, I sent this to our team today because I saw that LogMeIn was in the news.
Yeah.
So LogMeIn, they changed their name to something else.
It was like
They changed their name to like
GoTo. Yeah.
So before that though, LogMeIn bought Zively. Zively was purchased by Google, and Zively used to be Patchbay.
But there Zively was something else in between.
Yeah, Patchbay.
Cosm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they got in trouble for that name.
So anyways, it's just
so it's Patchbay, which was like the original IoT platform, by the way, which is like really like seminal work there.
And it was part of the radiation stuff in Japan. That's how they logged a lot of things.
Yeah.
I'm like the
Zively, then
Maker IoT Wikipedia.
So do you think Zively still running?
I don't know. Google had it, and then they sold it to LogMeIn.
Yeah.
And then LogMeIn is now GoTo, and they're in the news because of the LastPass hacking.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, I don't quite understand.
Yeah, and it's Patchbay, even though it looked like Pashubi.
Pashubi, but it's Patchbay.
Chubi. Okay. So next up, another bit of news. So the Adafruit IO whippersnapper glows with NeoPixel and .star support. So if you want to check out some of the latest additions, I'm going to go to the browser here. We have a blog post about it, and there's a color picker. There's a lot of things. What's the big deal with this for the folks who've been?
Okay, so the whippersnappers is our no code way to upload and control IoT devices without running any code. You don't even actually have to have access to a command line, which is great. You can actually use it all from a browser using Chrome and Web Serial. And ESP32 is supported. ESP8266 is mostly supported. We don't recommend it, but all the ESP32 families, the 7051 with Airlift is supported. The Pico W is supported, by the way. So a lot of Wi-Fi microcontrollers. If you don't want to write a line of Arduino or Circuit Python code, you don't have to. You can get sensor data and log it and have actions and an SMS that gets sent or an email, or you can have it. Because it's an animation probably. That's why it didn't show up. Sorry. So we've had added support for like analog sensors, buttons, switches and stuff. And then we added I2C sensors, which is really powerful because very few no-code IoT systems support I2C sensors. And now we even have support for NeoPixels and .star. So if you want to have RGB LEDs that light up when something happens on the internet or with your sensors, again, you can tie it together. So for example, we have these actions where you could take data and then you have something affected by that data. So if your CO2 level goes above 800, for example, you can turn on NeoPixels red. And if it goes below 400, you can turn them green. So like a really simple air quality sensor. And you can do it all with Adafruit IO.
That's cool. And you can see it like almost real time.
Yes. Yes, it's nearly instantaneous. I mean, the data has to pass through, but it's nearly instantaneous.
Okay. Oh, here's a comment. Person says they logged environmental data from within the eye of a hurricane last year from Whippersnapper. It was a really simple way to do all kinds of awesome real-time projects. Thank you.
Yeah, if you have barometric pressure sensors are super fun. Whenever there's a major weather event, log the barometric pressure. You'll usually see, when there was that volcano explosion.
There's major weather events now.
Yeah.
At least that's the way. So it was going to snow in New York, and the Weather Channel's like, notify your family, you're going to die alone. This is it, everyone. And it didn't really snow. They're kind of, caused a lot of anxiety. It was just snow for a couple of minutes, and then it was rain. It wasn't so bad. No one got hurt. Next up, special thanks to Anne today, who did a whole bunch of work on Awesome Feather. This is so this is one of those resources that we have that maybe we should try to figure out more ways to get the word out, because people are like, it'd be great if there was a list somewhere of all the feathers and all the different vendors that have them, because there's so many out there and I'm so confused, and how come there isn't just one spot? And it'd be great if it was on GitHub. It's like, yeah, it's Awesome Feather.
We have it.
So we have it, and it's updated frequently enough where there's a lot. So Feather kind of became as they say, a de facto standard.
Yeah.
We just got it out there for everyone to use.
Oh, cool. And all the other
Yes,
feathers and featherings as well.
there is a lot. And then there's a lot of feather wings. There's so
And if
many.
you design one, add it to the list.
Yeah.
It's a GitHub pull request.
Yeah. And we have all the information for everything. So check it out. It's called Awesome Feather. We have people contributing all the time. It is so scrolly.
This is very scrolly.
This is super scrolly.
That's some intense scrolling.
Yeah.
That's like a 5 scroll scroller.
You pack a lunch and you start scrolling.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do some mailbag.
Letters. We get letters. We get tweets and we get emails. Your comments via RSS. They are the best. Now it's the time for mailbag.
Okay, so this week, special thanks to Clockwork DG. Love your new Baby Safe home studio. Audio is much improved, and all overall production is off the charts. Well done.
Yay.
So we're doing our shows from home now. We were doing them at home during COVID, and then we would be at the office super late shifts because we were staggering the shifts for all the Adafruit team members. But now, since we have a kiddo, we're doing the shows from home. Kiddo likes to sleep. We're pretty lucky about that when we're doing shows. So far, so good. And we have green screens. We have a small apartment. So we're trying this out. So far, so good. It's working out. We have...
Every week we tweak it.
Yeah, we keep doing it.
Yeah.
With Adafruit Factory, it's hard because there's never going to be a good audio solution because there's just machines running and there's air compressors and those we've tried, like, it's like, oh, we'll turn them off, and it's like, that's not great because they have to repressurize and all that stuff, and we'd like to manufacture stuff, and I don't want to have problems because of us turning off all
Oh
machinery.
yeah, remember that one? Well, there was one
Yeah.
time you turned off the compressor, we forgot to turn it back on.
Yeah.
It was okay, but it was like
Yeah,
confusion in the morning.
there's no easy solution to turning down a factory. So anyways, we're gonna keep doing this, and so far it's working out. So we'll keep trying to increase the quality and quantity of shows. Let's do some retro hardware.
Whoa.
Okay, we do these photo sets of really cool hardware, and one of the reasons we do this, and I should explain because it's like, why do you?
Yeah, explain that.
Why do you show Adafruit's cutting edge, but you also like retro stuff, and then you have weird collections of retro stuff, but then you use cutting edge stuff to
And
make
the next mouse.
you make, then you use the latest and greatest chip that this could have got. This has more power than the Moonlander. How come you do that? So we try to get a lot of great ideas from designs because a lot of people design cool stuff, and we also like to look at really bad ideas too. So the retro, especially in the educational arena for retro stuff, is really fun. So let's start with this week's. This is the Socrates.
That's not the Socrates.
This is the Socrates. It's from VTech, who's still around. It was an 8-bit educational home video console, and it was released in 1988. It had robot characters, Socrates, named after the philosopher. The character is visually similar to Johnny Five from Short Circuit. It was discontinued in the 90s. It had wireless controllers that communicated via infrared.
That's cool.
Yeno distributed in Europe, Germany under the name Professor Weiss Alice, which translates to Professor Knows Everything. And in France as Professor Satou, Jean Etouffe Video, where Satou was the French phrase meaning knows all. One neat thing, it used a Zilog Z80A at 3.5 megahertz, and they had a couple things that you could play with it. But this is like a very weird, cool looking design. A little, NES looking.
It's very, and I was just about to say that, like,
Yeah.
that black strip in the front. That's
Yeah.
the IR input.
And then here's the robot, Johnny Five looking
They
thing.
totally just ganked Johnny.
Yeah, and here's some of the things you can do. And then, very simple, of course.
The RF input.
Yeah.
Or output.
Yeah, and here's antenna in, RF out, took 12 volts. And, I kind of like the simplicity of it. It had a keyboard, ABC instead of QWERTY. Has some potential.
When it's slotted in, it's like you could just click
Yeah, you pop the thing. And what's neat about this is the keyboard goes in not straight. it goes into the side.
This is a big help button.
And so this is no, but it's like, isn't this? Look at this. This is like a neat piece of industrial design.
Well, I like the little like bump in the front too. It's kind of got this like cute, askew looking.
Yeah, turn your
It looks
TV.
like it's actually by accident. It looks like, oh, somebody just put
It got stuck.
put it on top, and they're like, oh,
Oh,
that's
like there was
the
a
designer put it on top by accident.
there was a transporter issue and it beamed into the other part. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, Scotty, you beamed in the thing to the wrong thing. What was that movie? The Manhattan Project, where they were working on something and like the people got like stuck inside of an aircraft carrier. Is it the Manhattan Project?
Mhm.
It's a cool science
Kind of
fiction.
like The Fly. Or that's the only
No, yeah, I don't know what it was, but it was like, and it was like gruesome because they like got beamed into a ship and they're like, "Help me!"
Okay.
So, anyways, here's all the things that you could kind of do for a couple of years or maybe never, and turn your TV into an education device.
We could do this now that we've got that DVI output for this.
Yeah. So obviously, we're thinking of a lot of things that you can do, but we get to do things like HDMI out. So turn any HDMI TV into something else. So we got ideas. Anyways, that's our retro for this week. Next up, Python on hardware time. Blinka, blinka, blinka. Philadelphia Project. Thank you for figuring out the name of. I was close.
The Manhattan Project is a good guess.
Well, because it's
You're off by like 100 miles.
Yeah. All right. So first up, let's go to the newsletter. This week is a whole bunch of Python news.
Whole bunch of Python.
Whole bunch of Python news.
Whole bunch of Python.
So first up, let's talk about this. Happy 400. Isn't this great?
We had 300. What was the last time we celebrated?
It's on our website. So 400 libraries. This week we hit a milestone. There are now 400 libraries available for CircuitPython. This includes Adafruit written libraries and the community contributed one. Isn't that cool?
Yes, don't forget contributor. Like we have a contributors bundle, and if you do a PR into your GitHub repo, if it's in the right format, you'll get added to the bundle, which means that we will automatically package it up for you, and it'll get distributed through like the PyPI and like the micro PyPIs that we use.
Okay, and number 400 is from Tudor. And it's a
UUID4.
Yeah, what is that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe some like code generation for.
You know what? Let's click on the internet.
I don't know what's gonna happen.
It's a CircuitPython library to generate.
Oh, yeah. So UUIDs are the random. They're random identifiers. So it'll generate random identifiers for you.
Okay. Happy 400. Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to talk about is CircuitPython 2023 wraps up. We have had a call to the community. We're like, hey everybody, what do you want to see in CircuitPython 2023? So here is the places that you can read all of it. There is on Twitter, on Mastodon. You can check out all of them. These are all linked. We have video links. There's lots of places. It's interesting each year as new social media places come along or where people are posting things that are important to them. This year, there's a lot of things on Mastodon. Was stuff in the past on Snapchat. There's all sorts of things that people
TikTok.
Whatever, yeah, TikToks. TikTok, I keep seeing. So we're on TikTok, but in a lot of places in the US, they're like, we need to get rid of TikTok. So we want to maybe do more, but we also know that it might be I don't know, controversial to even put content on there at some point.
Looks like most people put it on GitHub or whatever.
Discord. So you can put it anywhere and just tag it and let us know if you still want to write up anything. But that's our recap that we have for now. Anywho, that is our big CircuitPython news for this week. Don't forget to check the newsletter. It has a lot of this and more.
Lots of great projects.
And did a ton.
And it's killing it.
And did a ton of newsletter work this week. So please sign up.
So
please sign up and check it out. And don't forget that this gets delivered to your inbox every single week.
Thank you, Bunga.
Do not spam you. Adafruit Daily. It's a standalone site that has nothing to do with your store account or anything. So please, please, please sign up and check it out. And we'll appreciate it. Okay, we're an open source hardware company. To prove it, we have 2,801 guides, LadyAda. This week on the big board,
I don't know
there's
if you noticed, but there's now new and updated tags. So I don't have to remember whether something's new or updated. It'll say so. So a lot of our TFT guides got updated. The 1.27 and 1.5 inch color OLED, the 2.8 and 3.2 inch TFT touchscreen, the 2.2 inch display. Keep going. We'll get back to the other stuff. The 1.9 inch, 1.69 inch, and 1.8 inch, 1.3 and 1.54. So these were all updated because they have iSpy connectors on them, or some of them do. For the large TFTs, it's just the capacitive touch one. And we wanted to add a page. Kattni went through and just rocked out, made pages to document that iSpy connector, which is a flex connector that allows you to have the display be farther away from the screen, so you don't have to do the wiring directly. It also could be a solder-free setup. Okay, then we have above, we've got the Feather Scorpio Snap Fit case. None Pedro did a guide and a video for that for 3D Hangouts.
Yeah, we're going to show that video.
Yeah, they did an IoT project as well, I think. Oh, no, sorry, this is Scorpio. So they're going to do an LED project soon with the Scorpio. They did the Pico W one before. And then scroll up. And then the other new guide is Next Bus Mouse to HID. This is from Jepler taking a Next mouse. We did the Next keyboard to CircuitPython to HID, and this time it's turning a Next mouse into HID using CircuitPython. So a lot of these are good demos for PIO with the RP2040, because a lot of these old keyboards and mice use like really weird, freaky, non-standard ways of communicating, because again, they were before PS2 or USB HID. So we're kind of having fun. Jepler's having fun going through like a gigantic collection of like weird Atari, Next, Socrates, VTech, whatever devices, and interfacing them with CircuitPython and then turning them into USB devices.
Yeah, and a lot of folks find these in thrift stores or online, or they had them, or they know someone, or the stuff's going to get thrown out. So this is a really cool thing to do with old hardware. Okay, let's play some Adafruit factory footage. Main New York City factory footage. Okay, 3D printing time.
Zip, zip, zip.
We're going to play these back to back. We've got the Scorpio project and a couple of speed ups. Here we go.
You can build advanced LED art projects with Adafruit's Feather RP2040 Scorpio. This dev board features the RP2040 chip, 8 megabytes of flash, and 8 consecutive GPIO outputs with 5 volts level shifting for NeoPixel driving. Thousands of LEDs can be controlled with the RP2040's PIO peripheral. Our 3D printed case snap fits together and features mounting tabs. It also has openings for USB-C, a battery cable, headers, and wires. All you need is just 2 hardware screws and nuts to secure the PCB to the case. There's also a slot on the bottom for external power and a spot for a 2x8 strip of headers. The design is customizable, so you can add or remove features that'll fit your project. You can use an IDE cable to make connecting NeoPixels much easier. We were able to power this holiday project using a USB power supply and 8 NeoPixel strips plugged into a small Perma Proto board. You can use the LED animation library for CircuitPython to create animation sequences. The NeoPixelate library allows you to use DMA for multitasking and scaling up your LED projects with impressive frame rates for buttery smooth animations. You can get the example code and learn more about the Feather Scorpio by heading over to learn.adafruit.com.
All right. Before we go on to INMPI, don't forget the code is reverse TFT. All right. That's the code. Don't forget it.
I got it.
Let's go to INMPI.
On MPI.
This week's Eye on MPI, brought to you by DigiKey and Adafruit, is from ST.
That's right.
Yeah, what is this week's Eye?
Okay, this is actually, well, I was personally interested in this chipset, so I'm glad we're featuring it. It's the ST STM32C0 series, not to be confused with the G0 series. We're actually going to be talking about both basically, although we're featuring the C0 in this INPI. So ST had a really great webinar slash presentation PDF. So I grabbed a bunch of slides from them. So that's why it looks like a ST slideshow. But there's a lot of good info in these slides. So the STM32C0 is STM32. It's a 32-bit microcontroller, but it's intended to replace 8-bit microcontrollers. It's very cheap, it's very reliable, and they're going to carry it for a very long time. It's got, their 10-year manufacturing guarantee. And also, you can move from the C0 series, which is extremely low cost and fairly low power, to the G0 series, which is more powerful, faster, more pins, etc. So there's kind of like a transitionary phase there from the C0 to the G0, which we're interested in because we think it might be able to, the G0 would be able maybe to run CircuitPython. So, what would this be used for? Well, I'll cheat and tell you ahead of time that it doesn't have USB native support, and so it's really good for what normally would be called white goods or low cost consumer goods. Basically, anytime you need, a microcontroller, but you don't need USB, you just need a couple timers, maybe a couple ADCs, GPIO. Maybe it drives a small LED matrix display or something, or a TFT display. And it goes inside of low cost goods or toys or, consumer products. Traditionally, what people still use to this day, if you open up like a toaster oven or something, it's probably going to be running a microcontroller with an 8051 core because these 8-bit microcontrollers, even, this core from the 90s is still very popular. I still buy chips these days that have an 8051 core in them. They're very, very low cost. They're not super fast, but like people are used to them. Like, they know the 8051. It's 8-bit. You can slam a whole bunch of peripherals onto it and go to town. And there's, compatible cores that don't have a lot of IP tied up with them. And so, they're, again, very inexpensive, under $1 basically for your microcontroller. However, they're 8-bit. So even though there's a lot of them, and, I just searched for 8051 on DigiKey, and there's 3,400 different microcontroller chips, and you can see they have built-in LCD or LED drivers, or they have CAN bus maybe built in. They often have the letters 80 or 89 or 51 somewhere in the part number. But the problem is that you're really stuck with 8-bit microcontrollers. So the minute you have to do anything more complicated, like use floating point numbers, you're going to have to simulate that because they often don't have a floating point unit, or they don't even have, they're 8-bit, 32-bit. So the moment you have any larger integers, now your memory, your flash memory is going to start ballooning because you have to do all this 32-bit math on an 8-bit micro. Sometimes they have DMA, but usually not. Sometimes they have, really nice peripherals, but something like I2S would be a challenge. Maybe they can do I2C, but again, it's all going to be in 8-bit microcontrollers. Another thing is that you don't get the benefit of, with ARM Cortex, you have SimSys, which is this layer that is kind of unified along all the ARM Cortex family. So, if you want to do a fast Fourier transform, for example, because you have some data and you want to extract a feature from it, you want to run an FFT. I don't even know how you would do that on 8051. You'd probably have to like do a lot of fixed point math on your own, maybe find a library that you can borrow from. Whereas if you're using ARM Cortex, there's a lot of existing library code that's optimized for the ARM Cortex chipset. The C0, the M0 family, which this is part of the M0 Plus. And then you, of course, can move up to the M3 or M4 or even the M7 series. So there is, a lot of benefit to moving to 32-bit, not just because you have, 32-bit and maybe you have a floating point unit, but you get to take advantage of good compilers, good IDEs, good libraries, a lot of optimized code specifically for this family. So this is where the STM32C0 lives in the STM32 like portfolio. It's all the way to the left, right? It's low cost, it's low power. Below it is the L0, which is the low power version, runs at 32 megahertz. This one runs at 48 megahertz. So it's a little bit faster. And then again, you can transition from the C0 to the G0. The G0 is 64 megahertz and has more GPIO. And if you want even more power, of course, you move up to the G4, Cortex M4, and you want mega power, go to the F7 or H7 series, like very, very powerful chips that you can basically start running very serious real-time operating systems on. This is the block diagram for the C011 and the C031 series. You get a lot of good stuff here. I mean, it runs on 2 to 3 volts, so you can run it on a couple batteries. One supply pair, so you don't have to have there's not a lot of serious power routing or decoupling. You don't need more than one power supply chip. It has an internal clock, so you don't need a crystal. That saves you a little bit of money. It has some fairly good peripherals on the right-hand side at 6 or 12 kilobytes of SRAM. 12-bit ADC. The ADC is surprisingly fast. It's like 1.7 mega samples per second, which is kind of nuts. It is on 13 channels. That's normal to have it multiplexed. And it looks like there's 4 timers, which is quite nice. And then SPI, 2 UARTs. I like that. And 1 I2C plus, all the real-time clock stuff you'd expect. And SysTick stuff and Watchdog that you'd expect. And of course, all the GPIO with pull-ups, pull-downs, interrupts, etc. So the goal here is, if you've used Cortex M0s, a nice low cost one, it is nice. You don't have to have a crystal. You don't have to have a lot of routing. You might even be able to do your board on a single layer or a very simplified 2-layer board if necessary. Again, no USB. So that's the only thing that's missing from this. But otherwise, it can pretty much do anything that your product would need. Instead, normally you would use an 8-bit 8051 or an AT-Tiny or whatever. You can do with a STM32C0 instead. For pin counts, they make them as little as 8 pin in 32K flash, 6K of RAM, or 16K flash, 6K of RAM, all the way up to 48 pin QFN or QFP, 32K flash, or 16K flash, and 12K of RAM. So you can see there's 4 options, 32 and 16. K flash, 6 or 12K RAM, and then incrementing amount of pins. Again, you need more pin count, you would go to the G0 series, which will take you up to 64 megahertz, and the lower pin count is pin compatible apparently. But as you go up, you're like, I need 100 pins, 68 pins, whatever, go to the G0 or more RAM, for example. Again, here's another example. The pin, apparently the pin is compatible, so you want 48 megahertz, you want 64, switch between the two. And oh, sorry, this is the same image. So let's go to the next one. Okay. Oh, and then this is for the G0. I did want to mention because I was kind of curious about the G0 as well. The G0X1 does have USB native and it has USB PD, which is kind of neat. I might be featuring this on a future Ion NPI. I think that's cool that they built in a PD peripheral into it so that you can, for example, if you have a device that you power off of USB-C, but you want it to have 9 or 12 volts, it can do that negotiation for you. You don't need a separate chip. Again, saving you a little bit of money. There is a nice dev kit that's in stock. Actually, all the chips are in stock. So yes, that's right.
What's that?
Well, we don't usually talk about microcontrollers on INPI.
We slide into another universe where there's plentiful chips.
Sliders.
Yeah.
Usually we don't cover microcontrollers because they're often they have not been in stock for the last 2 years, but all the STM32C X series are in stock in the various packages and flash and memory configurations. They just dropped, so you want them, you can order them and get them. They also have, of course, plenty of this discovery kit, which I recommend. It'll work with their IDE very nicely. And then, you can decide, again, because it's one core, different configuration of pins and flash and RAM. You just pick whichever, whatever your code compiles and fits into, that's what you pick.
All right. Available on DigiKey.
Yes.
Like seriously.
Really? It's in stock.
I'm not messing with you.
Get some. Very
Alright.
cool chipset. I'm very happy to see that, with the chip shortage kind of releasing, more parts are becoming available. We're starting to get new things, not just trying to get the old things. So this actually might be a good opportunity if you were designing with an 8-bit micro, an 8051 or Z80 or whatever, and you're like, I couldn't get these chips for the last 2 years and I'm going through a redesign. Why not pick up the STM32 series?
Yeah. So they have a video that's pretty good.
Yes.
I'm gonna play it. And then we'll
New products.
play out
Yes.
INMPI and we'll go right into new products.
On MPI.
All right, lady, let's go right into new products. You ready?
That's right. New, 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 new.
Good work. All right, so first up, it's revision.
Yes. This is revision, and this you might say, "Hey, wait, you already did this revision."
Hey,
We
wait.
did do this revision.
Hey, wait.
This is the 2590. So this was the Metro Mini V1, and then what happened is we couldn't get the package for the Metro Mini V1, which was a 32-pin QFN, and so we were like, "Well, we have to do a hardware revision to get with the 28-pin QFN, which we could get in stock." So we did the V2, and then we finished the V2, and then we're like, "Well, are we going to make the V1 anymore?" We finally sold out of the V1 and realized, well, no, we're probably just going to sell the V2 because it's pin compatible, except it adds USB-C, which more people wanted, and STEMMA QT, which means you can plug and play sensors onto it, like so. And we thought, hey, let's just make the V2 instead of the V1. So if you are going to purchase product number 2591, you will no longer get the V1, you'll only get the V2. We're not planning on making the V1 anymore because, again, this is pin compatible and we think is an improvement on the design.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Next up, we've got more magnetic cables. These are simplified magnetic cables. We put in the store magnetic cables that were USB-C to C, micro B, or lightning. These are USB-A only. So you can see there's only 4 contacts. It makes them a little bit less expensive, but they're still really cool magnetic cables. And let me tell you, I use these a lot. So let's go to the overhead and I'll show them off. So we got them in 2 sizes. We got them. Okay, I'll show this. This is the 1 meter long, but just imagine I have a version that's 2 meters long. So that would be the other version. So another thing that's nice is not only is it's only USB-A, it is sync and power. So you get both. So you get all 4 signals. Oh, thank you for zooming in. You can see the 4 signals. And then you can get micro USB tip with it. You get a lightning tip and you get a USB-C tip. And this is great because I actually have a lot of devices around that. I have a charging station. And so, I plug this in. This actually lights up normally, but I do like to bring a USB charging thing here. So you plug this in, and this is actually reversible too, by the way. So
That's nice.
you can go either way, forward or backward.
But it makes something that's not reversible reversible.
Reversible, and you just click to charge it. So like these are like my little like back and body massager thingies, and I use these all the time, and so I'm constantly charging them. In this way I don't have to like fiddle with
also in the
cables.
dark, because you need to do stuff in the dark, and,
Yeah.
and you can't.
I have baby.
Yeah, and also I don't know what it is, but USB, for whatever reason, it takes 3 times
Yeah.
to plug it in.
So for example, I have
Yeah.
like my charging cable, and it's like sometimes I'm charging my phone,
Boop.
and or I'll charge my my
Boop.
little massager thingy, and or like my pumps.
Boop.
Same cable, 3 different ways. So I actually kind of like that it comes with one of each
Yeah.
tip. I'll say at this moment we don't sell the individual tips. We just sell the one
Yeah,
cable with all 3 tips. If people really demand it, we'll carry the individuals. But
Yeah.
I kind of feel like usually want 1 cable per 3 devices anyway.
Yeah. So next up.
This is the 2-meter version. So
Yeah.
we have it bigger.
So that's the difference, if you can tell.
I'll say, if you can get away with 1 meter, you'll get better charge rate, because anytime you have a 2-meter cable, it is just longer.
Yeah.
You're going to give a bigger voltage drop, so it's not going to charge as efficiently.
Also, don't forget, if you look at the quarters on our product pages,
Yeah.
it's all the American women quarters that are up. Okay.
Yes.
Next up.
Okay. Next up, we have a new new product set from Espressif. They kind of sent us these FedEx really fast, which is cool. So this is the ESP32C6. Yeah, this is new, because you're like, wait, I don't know. There's a C3, and there's the ESP32S2 and S3. What's the C6? So the C6 is a RISC-V based ESP32 chip. It has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and it has Wi-Fi 6 compatible. I'll be honest with you, I don't know exactly what Wi-Fi 6 is. I gotta research it. However, this is their new chipset. It's a totally brand spanking new. These are engineering samples. They're not meant to be put into final board designs. These are designed for folks who are, they're Espressif fans. They're cool with using the IDF, because you need to use IDF 5.1. We have 2 versions of the modules. We have the 8 megabyte and the 4 megabyte, and the photos look identical. But one has 4 megabytes of flash, and one has 8 megabytes of flash.
These are identical photos.
They're identical photos.
Look at that.
Yeah, sorry.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that.
Honestly, we are waiting for the 8 megabytes to come in. The 4s are already
They're very similar. Okay.
They're very similar. They're basically the same.
All right.
And then we also have the eval board, which is over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's this one.
Yeah, click here.
Yeah, sorry about that.
It's fine. No, because everything looks the same. Everything's like black
Yeah, it's
rectangles.
very similar.
Okay, so this is the ESP32C6 module dev kit. So you get the C6 module on the right. That's your RISC-V chip. Then you've got a power supply. The looks like the LT1117. You've got a 2 USB ports, and the reason you've got 2 USB ports.
We're gonna go to this one.
Oh, great! Yeah, you got 2 USB ports, but I want to see the overhead
Yeah.
here. The reason we get the 2 USB ports is it has native USB, just like the C3 does, and it also has a built-in like the UART. So there's a CP2102 USB to serial converter chip. Use that when you want to do debugging, so that you can mess with the native USB on the side, and you don't have it coming and going. Sometimes people find it easier to do debugging through the UART. Because again, there is a JTAG, but a lot of people don't use the JTAG on these dev boards. They just use the UART for debugging instead, using the IDF debug system. There's also the reset and boot buttons. It's breadboard compatible. Did I mention this is for engineer and developer use only? It's not for people who are like, oh, I want to have this run Arduino, CircuitPython, MicroPython. Ain't nothing running on it yet. Arduino support isn't even merged yet as of this video. Although I saw there's an open GitHub ticket for it, and I think it'll be added, within a couple months. C6 is very interesting if you're a RISC-V aficionado, or you are interested in Wi-Fi 6. Pick up these or the modules, but I just have to warn people, at the time of this video, they're not for beginners.
Okay, and then the star of the show tonight, besides you, LadyAda, our team, our customers, and more, is
the new ESP32S2 reverse TFT feather. That's where the code is reverse TFT. So this is a lot like our ESP32 TFT feather, except you'll notice that the TFT is on the back of the board, not the front of the board.
Oh.
It's the reverse. But this also means there's a little bit more space, right? Because I'm not sharing it with the USB and the whatever. And so on the back, you've got the ESP32S2, you've got a STEM QT port. It's got the little protector on it. But I think if we, well, look, I'll show it on the overhead. And on the front, we've got the TFT. It's a 240 by 135 pixel RGB TFT with IPS. So it's a very beautiful little display. You communicate with it over SPI. You've got the reset button and 3 IO buttons. And the D0 button is also the bootloader button. So if you ever need to enter the bootloader manually, it's also available. And on the reverse side here,
This one?
yeah. So you've got on the left USB-C, you've got another reset button in case you need another reset button. I always like to keep it there.
Yeah.
Battery charging.
Nice.
Something new is I've updated these feathers. We used to use the LC709203 as a battery monitoring chip. We've moved to the Max 17048. Shouldn't really matter too much for you. It's a very nice ultra low power battery monitor. Go back here. I don't remember. There's a NeoPixel on board. There's a second regulator, so you can turn off power to the NeoPixel and the STEM QT port for ultra low power. We're using the RT9080 regulator on these boards, which means that the power goes down to like 30 or 40 microamperes when in deep sleep mode.
Hackaday has a low power contest with DigiKey, and they have these little.
Oh.
The illustration is these little Energizer looking bunnies, but they're robots.
Okay.
And it's how low can you go? So you
Yeah.
could probably look at a bunch of low power stuff from Adafruit and just win.
Win.
We're not judges. We have nothing to do with it. Enter and win with Adafruit
Win,
stuff.
win, win,
Do
win,
it.
win, win,
Do
win.
it. Do it.
We will eventually have an S3 version of this as well, in case you're like, hey, it was gonna be an S3 version. We will, but we start with the S2. I thought maybe I'd show it on the overhead.
Yeah, show it
because
on
we
the
have
overhead.
to do some overhead practice.
Yeah.
So
There
let's
we go.
show this on.
Back and forth. Beep, 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 beep.
Yes, thank you for
Beep, 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 beep.
unzooming.
Yeah, that's the sound I make on those.
Okay, so yeah, let's do this protector. And then I'm gonna zoom in again. Hold on. Let me see.
Whoa, that's cool. You're
Pinch and
doing
zoom.
pinch and zoom.
Pinch zoom. ESP32S2 module. This mini module has 4 megabytes of flash, 2 megabytes of PS RAM. It's great for Arduino, CircuitPython use. That PS RAM makes it excellent for IoT projects because you can buffer your gigantic JSON data. Like I mentioned, there's a Max 17048 battery monitor. It's ultra low power, but you just get really good battery monitoring on it. It'll tell you the percentage and voltage of your LiPo battery when in use. I got these nice big buttons in these days. The new Penguin font, so nice legible sans serif font. Secondary regulator for the STEM QT port, so you can have sensors and then depower them for ultra low power usage. This is the main regulator, battery recharging, JST PH4 battery for portable projects, USB-C, and then as we've mentioned, this beautiful front screen and 3 buttons. Let me see if we've got a battery here. I can demo it. I do have a battery here. Hold on. Let's see if the demo's running. Okay, so this is the demo. So if I have I2C devices, the I2C36, that's the built-in monitor, reset button, and then the buttons D0, D1, and D2.
What's that spot for a chip? Yeah, I think
There is a chip.
vertical.
Yeah, there's it's a vertical STEM QT, yeah, because there's no other way to have it. But this goes so good because it means anything comes out the back. This is for a BME 280, but we don't actually place it on there. It's just sort of a vestigial sensor.
Okay.
One thing just to note for the sensors is the D0 button, when you press it, it shorts to ground. The D1 and D2 purposefully short to 3.3 volts. So the reason is we learned this with the mag tag. For the lowest power deep sleep interrupt wake ups, you want to have the power switch connect to power, not ground. And this does a better job of allowing you to have multiple buttons trigger different wake ups. Like if you want to have multiple GPIO trigger wake ups. So that's why if you're like, why is D1 and D2 different? That's why they are. And yeah, we'll also do an S3 version, but I wanted to get this into the shop to start. But I think this would be great for panel mounting
Good.
or a case. yes, the battery sticks out a little bit, but you can kind of fold this
Yeah.
under and it's slim, and you can still use feather wings. You just stack them on top this way, right? It's stacked backwards. So if you want to add Ethernet or whatever, go for it. All the TFT control signals don't go through the GPIO, just the SPI. So you have all these pins available.
And that is new products.
Reverse. New, 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 new.
Okay, well, don't forget to put stuff in your cart, reverse TFT. We're going to answer some questions. I have a bunch of them lined up already.
I got my juice.
Yeah, but we're gonna do top secret right now. Then we're gonna do a bit of a recap. Secret and more top secret. Okay. Okay, top secret's gonna be a little different this week because here's the recap of the one that we just posted.
Yes.
It has some things that we did already.
Yeah. That was from, because we didn't do a video. So I showed off the RP2040 bones and some of the things that I might put into that bones area.
Yeah.
And then I also showed off, we're starting up this Metro M7 again.
Yeah.
This totally was, I actually looked at it, was like February 2020 is when I was working on it last. And it like didn't really make it the chip shortage. After we got back to doing electronics again, from dealing with COVID lockdowns and stuff. But now I'm like, the chip is available. I'm ready to do this. Let's go. Break time's over.
Okay, and then you just sent this to me right before the show, so there is top secret this week. So what is that?
There is a top secret, yeah, because I just wrapped it right before the show. So this is this actually, I came up with this idea, but then also somebody said, hey, could you make some way to do quality audio with the cutie pies? And I'm like, yeah, the ESP32 has I2S capability. The RP2040 has great I2S. None of them really have good DACs, but the I2S is great. So why not just make a little I2S BFF? And this uses the max, what was it? The 98, something, I forget. Our little mono 3 watt amplifier. And then we'll have a Molex Pico Blade connector, because we actually have speakers with Pico Blade connectors on them. And we also just sell the individual Pico Blades for a nice slim little speaker output. And you could make little miniature projects that can do audio playback.
Okay. That's this week's top secret. All right, we're gonna go questions. I got a bunch lined up here.
All right, let's
go. We're gonna
speed around.
We're gonna speed around it. We're gonna speed around.
We have a couple minutes.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We're
We
gonna
had a long show.
Yeah, we had a lot.
I had a lot.
And we're also catching up for
And
last
there's
week,
a
too.
baby.
Okay, we also have a
Okay.
Okay, so here's the ones that we have. I'm just going to skip around a little bit. Would like to have a reverse TFT feather wing with just the display buttons for existing project.
Yes, there was one actually. We had one, and it, basically half the components got discontinued, and then the TFT gets discontinued. So we're going to revise it. We're doing it. It's going to have a little joystick and a couple buttons. Check our previous Just LadyAda videos. I'll show you. Can see me working on it.
Okay, hi Adafruit team. First, love everything you do. Thank you for making things so understandable. Question: I have some RGBW LED strips I wish to control with the ESP32. Would be a good way of handling the power need for each channel, transistors, MOSFETs, any particular ones, resistors for limiting current? Question mark.
For RGBW strips, first off, you don't need limiting current resistors. You don't want to anyways, because it's like they'd be enormous resistors. The resistors are already on the strips. So for analog LED strips, you just give them like 9 to 12 volts, and they're already current limited. Just don't give them more than maybe 15 volts at the max, but 12 volts is definitely fine. Second, we do have a guide on analog LED strips. I believe that the ESP32 has 4 PWM channels, but I'm not 100% sure, in which case the ESP32 might not be a great choice for controlling RGBW strips. I'm 99% sure it has 3 channels, but I just don't know if it has 4. That said, there's lots of tutorials on controlling RGB LEDs with an ESP32, and then we have a guide on analog LED strips, and we show the transistors. You can use tip 120s or N-channel MOSFETs, and we have a wiring diagram, and then just add a 4th channel for the W.
Okay. Regarding the TFT feather for ESP32X, do you plan on making the TFTs on both sides or just transitioning to this new reverse design?
The TFT Feather for ESP32. No, we're gonna have both. We manufacture both ones.
Yep.
There's use cases for both. If it's on a breadboard, I like the TFT pointing up. For this kind of panel mounty style, I want it reversed, but we'll have both versions.
Okay. How do you migrate to the RP2040 standalone tester programmer brains for the factory? What is the software used on the RP2040 to target program? Is there help to implementing this? Is Raspberry Pi with OpenCD still a good solution? Any other alternatives for standalone solutions?
Raspberry Pi with OpenCD will work fine because Raspberry Pi programming Raspberry Pis they'll always have documentation that's up to date. I just personally don't like to have the complexity of Linux. The code is in our testbed library. So if you go to GitHub/Adafruit and you search for testbed, there should be some example for this thing called Brains. Again, it's completely 100% unsupported. Like you're totally on your own, but it does work. I have programmed many RP2040s from the RP2040, and I believe we also have SAMD21 and 7051 programming through FreeDAP, our DAP standalone programmer. So it you can do it. Just FYI, it's not public. I should publish the board files though for the tester brains. Maybe I'll do that this weekend. You can remind me because even though it's 100% unsupported, other people, if you want to build it, go for it.
If you love your board, set it free.
Yeah.
What's the BSG 280?
The BMP 280.
BMP 280.
Or BME 280.
BME 280.
They're the same pinout.
I thought it was like a Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
So on the size of the ESP Feather, have you seen any TFT size with touch capabilities? Maybe some kind of swipe gestures.
Not anything that small. No.
Ooh, that's a neat idea. Though.
It's a good idea, but usually it's a separate overlay. I don't know of any. Yeah.
Next up, have you all considered doing a PCB square? I use my ruler to measure this PCB. Scan a square would have awesome. Would also be useful for other projects. So let's take a look at this.
Kindy has a square.
This thing. That's neat.
That they made their own square. I think there's one on Tindy, I think.
Yeah.
Check it out. It's a tough thing to search for, PCB square, because it's like squares. It's square.
Okay. Is there a project doing a MIDI synth with RP24 and I2S output, maybe from Toddbot or Liz? Yeah.
Tag Toddbot. Ask him. That's a very Toddbot.
Yeah.
project.
More feedback than questions. I totally buy a Max Feather I2S since you showed a Cutie Pie version.
It's tougher on a Feather because there's way more feathers and the I2S pins are kind of all over the place.
Okay. Can you both timer and switch triggers together to wake up a deep sleep board?
I'm sorry, what?
Okay.
I do not remember for ESP32. I believe you can do both, but if you really go check the data sheet because it's very specific. Sometimes you can only do one.
Okay. With the RP2040 available, is that the cheapest microcontroller for the ST2D V16K in your RFID EEPROM breakout, or is there something less expensive? Thanks for all you do.
RP2040 is pretty inexpensive and it's very reliable.
Okay. Let's see. Congrats, Adafruit, on 3 million orders. I've been supporting and weirdly tracking for some time. Keep up the great work. Ooh, this is a nice chart.
Ooh, that's a nice chart.
Yay!
Wow, that shows it shows a definite linear growth curve.
Yeah. Look at this. Thank you for making that chart there. I'm gonna share that with the team.
No, that's nice.
Yay! I wonder if there's any way I can oh yeah. So I'm gonna try to be tricky here. Tricky.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab the chart that was just posted in the chat.
Oh, and put it into one.
I'm gonna put it in Wirecast Live, which is the most dangerous thing I'm gonna do today.
Wow, I can't believe you're doing this.
This is the most dangerous
This is
thing.
like that scene in Battlestar Galactica where she just typed in all the random numbers and they're like, where are you gonna what do they call warp to? What do they call it?
Jump.
Where are we jumping to?
Jump with the light drive.
We don't have time.
Come.
Just enter in anything. And she's like 3.17824.
Yeah. Well, let me make this bigger. That's kind of nice.
Okay. We're in the chart. We're in the graph.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting.
You can see where he's kind of took a break.
Well,
and then was like, I'm going to
track it. Yeah.
Get back into it.
We got really busy and I probably didn't post as much. But what's
that's going to take, yeah.
I think those are the data points because we did you get busy and it's like, oh yeah, we should post about the milestones. What's interesting is if you go, let's see, this way, I shipped these orders. When was this me shipping? That's what there was.
2012, yeah, you're shipping.
Oh, I think this is the orders that the person ordered.
Yes.
Yeah. That's
what they ordered.
Yeah.
So you shipped those orders.
Yeah, you shipped your orders for sure back then. But I thought this was maybe when I was posting, because sometimes you ship about we're shipping so much. Sometimes you're doing it's hard to write about the business and do the business at the same time. So I probably
You can see that's interesting. So over there, like over there, there's a little bit of a jump. That's probably around an ADA box. If there's like a little bit of
yeah.
a, you get like 5,000 or whatever orders all at once.
Yeah. What's the maximum number of questions you've ever answered as a single Alaskan engineer? Tons. I mean, it depends. Sometimes, then it's been action packed because there's so much going on. But there's been times where we've wrapped up pretty early on the show and we just, dozens and dozens and dozens of questions.
Okay.
Speaking of, it's time to feed you so you can make more electronics
I know.
and do
Feed
more stuff and
baby.
feed a child. So that's
I have now 3 jobs.
you got lots of jobs. Okay. Um, and then one last note because I think it's worth saying. So impressed as the order stayed steady during the pandemic. So here's the thing. We got named as an essential business. We did so much that we could to help the city. We tried to keep everything going the best we could. It was really hard. We're still recovering and maybe we'll never be fully recovered. It didn't things won't go back to normal. They're just different now, and you adapt, you learn a lot, and we took really good care of our team, and that's why we were able to stick around. It was just really really hard. It was a really tough 3 years. So thank you everybody for not only placing orders during that time, but supporting us and getting us to this 3 million mark. As far as I know, until someone on Twitter corrects me or something, we're the only 100% woman owned electronic company, open source hardware company, and no funding, no venture capital, no loans. So we appreciate it. Everything is because of everyone who orders out there and our team who does it. So that's why we are here, and we thank you. Please
Thank
don't
you.
forget to use the code, save a buck or two, and you get a bunch of free stuff. We will see everybody next week. This is an Adafruit production. I'll play our little tour through Chinatown at the end. Here is your moment of Zener.
Bye, everybody.